being said that all the major problems related to NEET have been resolved, and that the Prime Minister and the Central Ministry of Education have taken the necessary steps, and that special systems have been put in place to prevent such problems from happening in the future. It's not only the officials who leak the examination papers who are responsible. The parents and children who pay money and use that system are also equally responsible. If nobody buys it, nobody will sell it. If the fine is so severe that even someone who works as a doctor for their entire lifetime would find it difficult to pay it, then nobody would be willing to take such a risk. Let's look at the next topic. This week, we watched the film The Odyssey. Even today, in the cyber world, everyone is familiar with a notorious category of malware called a Trojan. The idea of something appearing safe from the outside while hiding an attack inside comes from this story. The story beautifully presents what happens both to those who follow this law and to those who violate it. With that, just like the concept of Aditi Devo Bhava in our Indian tradition, the Greek culture also considered guests and hospitality sacred through the concept of Xenia or the law of Zeus. Namaskaram. Today I was thinking of discussing two things. First, let us talk about the NEET exam, which is currently a major topic of discussion in the country. From what we are hearing in the news now, it's being said that all the major problems related to NEET have been resolved, and that the Prime Minister and the Central Ministry of Education have taken the necessary steps, and that special systems have been put in place to prevent such problems from happening in the future. When I saw this, I remembered something else. Problems like this did not start today or yesterday. I had a similar experience in the year I wrote my entrance exam, that's in 1999. At that time, it was Kerala entrance exam and the All India exam was separate. Unlike NEET, both were not one single exam. Even then, because of a similar issue, the Kerala entrance exam result was reevaluated that year. My initial general merit rank was 484. Later, after reevaluation, it changed to 521. And because of that change in the rank, my MBBS seat changed and took admission for BDS, and so on. So at that time, we too experienced the same tension and the same uncertainty. When I see this happening repeatedly in different exams, I feel that the question we should ask is, what can be done so that such incidents never happen again in high-stake examinations, without the whole country having to go through fights, riots, political exploitation, and all of that. There is absolutely no doubt that those who leak examination papers must be arrested and punished, imprisoned, and heavily fined. That definitely has to be done. But along with that, there is something else I feel. It's not only the officials who leak the examination papers who are responsible. The parents and children who pay money and use that system are also equally responsible. If nobody buys it, nobody will sell it. Therefore, everyone involved in this crime should receive equally strong punishment. For example, permanent disqualification from the examination, a ban on appearing for government examinations in the future, along with a heavy financial penalty. If the fine is so severe that even someone who works as a doctor for their entire lifetime would find it difficult to pay it, then nobody would be willing to take such a risk. Similarly, officials who leak examination papers should also face long-term imprisonment, heavy fines, and strict legal action. Because if everyone, especially the officials who leak the papers, the parents who pay money to buy them, or the NEET coaching centers involved, knows with certainty that the punishment will be much greater than the benefit they can obtain from the crime, then naturally such crimes will decrease. Let me know what you all think about this in the comments. Now let's look at the next topic. This week we watched the film The Odyssey. It was not in an IMAX theater or anything. It was at the View Theatre near us here in the UK. Overall, I really liked the movie. Let me talk about the film without giving any spoilers. While watching this movie, I felt that this was not simply Greek mythology, Homer's Odyssey, but rather an adaptation of the Odyssey with director Christopher Nolan's interpretation and visual language. In other words, you can call it an American Odyssey or Christopher Nolan's Odyssey, and because of that, you can see changes in some of the characters, in their casting, and in many of the events as well. Let me explain the background of the movie in the way I understood it. Helen of Sparta, the wife of Menelaus, who was the king of Sparta, was taken by Paris, the prince of Troy. To Troy, in some versions of the story, it is described as love, and in others as abduction. Whatever the case, the Greek world considered it a great insult. Menelaus sought the help of his brother Agamemnon, who was the king of Mycenae and Argos at that time. And so many kings and warriors from Greece came together and set out to fight against Troy. The major warriors in that war were Achilles, Ajax the Great, Diomedes, Nestor, Menelaus, Agamemnon, and Odysseus, the king of Ithaca. On the side of Troy, the major warriors were Hector, Paris, Aeneas, and King Priam. This war lasted for approximately 10 years, but even with their strength, the Greeks could not defeat Troy, nor could they break through the walls of the fortress and enter the city of Troy. That was when Odysseus came up with his clever plan. That was the world-famous Trojan horse. A huge wooden horse was built and selected soldiers were hidden inside it, and rest of the army pretended to leave and went away. A Greek soldier named Sinon convinced the Trojan soldiers that this horse was a sacred offering made to the goddess Athena and that it would bring good fortune and the blessings of the gods to Troy. Believing this, the Trojan soldiers brought it inside the city. At night, the Greek soldiers hiding inside the horse came out, opened the city gates, and allowed the Greek army waiting outside to enter. And thus the Greek army finally won the 10-year-long war. They recovered Helen of Sparta as well. That was the Trojan War and the world-famous Trojan horse. Even today, in the cyber world, everyone is familiar with a notorious category of malware called a Trojan. The idea of something appearing safe from the outside while hiding an attack inside comes from this story. So the main architect of the Greek victory in the Trojan War and the idea of the Trojan horse was Odysseus. That's why history remembers him as a better strategist than simply a great warrior. After the war, Odysseus set out to return to his kingdom Ithaca. A journey that would normally have taken only a few weeks eventually became a 10-year-long journey filled with disasters. That journey is the Odyssey. During this journey, he faced numerous dangers, including Polyphemus, who was a cyclops. One-eyed giants are called Cyclops, the sorceress Circe, the sirens Scylla, Charybdis, and the sacred cattle of the sun god Helios. Throughout this journey, he was often saved by Athena, the Greek goddess of wisdom and knowledge. She greatly admired Odysseus' intelligence and wisdom. But Odysseus' greatest strength sometimes became his greatest weakness as well. One version is after defeating the Cyclops Polyphemus, even though he could have escaped safely, he proudly revealed his own name. Polyphemus was the son of Poseidon, the god of the sea. When Poseidon heard this, he became furious and made Odysseus' journey back to his homeland even more difficult. Another version says that Odysseus' ego was responsible for all these problems. But I have a question there. If a god knows and sees everything, wouldn't he have known this even if Odysseus hadn't shouted out his name? And similarly, I felt, wasn't Polyphemus actually more at fault here? After all, Odysseus, who initially saved himself by identifying himself as nobody to Polyphemus, and then, before leaving, shouted out his real name as Odysseus. But wasn't Polyphemus the one who ate several of the people traveling with Odysseus? So, shouldn't God really have punished Polyphemus instead? What do you think? Along with that, just like the concept of Aditi Devo Bhava in our Indian tradition, the Greek culture also considered guests and hospitality sacred through the concept of Xenia or the law of Zeus. The belief was that any guest could be a representative of the god, and therefore respecting a guest and providing food and safe accommodation was considered a sacred duty. However, this law applied equally to the guest as well as the host. The guest also had to respect the host. They were not supposed to misuse the wealth of the household or insult the members of the family or take away or get hold of what rightfully belonged to the hosts. Abusing hospitality in this way was considered a violation of the sacred law of Zeus by the Greeks. In the Odyssey, the suitors who stayed for years in the palace of Odysseus' wife Penelope and their son Telemachus violated this very law. The story beautifully presents what happens both to those who follow this law and to those who violate it. In this way, the story of Odysseus continues to remain relevant even today. In the film, the director has tried to present these ideas in his own way. Therefore, instead of looking at it simply as Homer's Odyssey, if you look at it as a modern cinematic adaptation or as Christopher Nolan's Odyssey, I think you will enjoy it more. Let me know your opinions about these subjects in the comments. Also, let me know what you think about the need to impose strict punishment on those who violate the law in NEET and in all major exams, and those who make all the hard work of students who study and work hard completely meaningless. If you liked the video, don't forget to like, share and subscribe to the channel. See you again with another topic. Until then, stay happy, stay healthy and stay positive. Thank you.